Tuesday, there would be no vetting. That Wednesday, there will be no vetting on Wednesday. Life is all about give and take. As a result, we are not able to vet any nominee on Wednesday, and then we use the Wednesday to deal with the issues pertaining to Mr. Oliver Baka Vamawa. Though we closed early because of the decision that there was not going to be vetting, we then used the period to task the clerk with the responsibility to merge that Wednesday with Thursday. The nominees that are to be vetted on Wednesday that we couldn't do, she should merge it with Friday. And then let's look at the number. Now the number became 8. And at a meeting, we've decided that if on average we have to use 2 hours on one person, then that would have been 16 hours of sitting. It would have been too much, given the fact that some people may be vetted within 1 hour. We agreed to do the first 6. First, it was the first 5. Then I received a call from Honorable Minority Leader that he is okay, we can add a candle to be taken on that day. Therefore, 6 people were programmed to be taken. Then there was an agreement that the backlog, being the 2, should be added to the following day, which is Friday. And if we are not able to exhaust, then we can take a decision whether we are coming on Saturday or it should be Monday or Tuesday. In fact, this has also brought in Honorable Mahama Ayariga, the leader of the House. And he even came out to say that clearly we need to negotiate the Saturday because Saturday is not a working day. So therefore, if you are not able to finish on Friday and we cannot come on Saturday, then probably Monday or Tuesday will be the next available date. So I was surprised that in the morning of that Thursday, the clerk came to me to say that instead of what we have agreed upon, she has received a text message from the minority whip in the person of Anodompre, which text message she showed to me that we are only going to do 4. That is why I have a difficulty. You agree on one thing, then behind you want to do another thing. I wasn't comfortable. So I just told the clerk that whatever we agreed upon, that is what we are going to do. So on that Thursday, we had programmed to start the first person at 9 o'clock. I came to office around 8:30. About 8:45, I received a call from the assistant clerk to the effect that he had received a call from Honorable Anodompre that there will be a caucus meeting of the minority. Therefore, instead of 9 o'clock, we should again start proceedings at 10 o'clock. For me, as a member of parliament, you may not have control over a caucus meeting. So when they are going to have a caucus meeting, I have no problem about it. So I have decided to walk to the chamber. Then on my way to the chamber, I met few MPs from the minority side and asked, I understand you are having a caucus meeting. Are you not attending the caucus meeting? Only for me to be told that there was no caucus meeting. So 10 o'clock, I have decided to start the vetting. And when they walk in, after I have started, I told them in a plain language that I do not like the seat. We are all members of parliament. If you have a challenge of a caucus meeting, I would agree with you. But a situation where you do not have a caucus, but you deceive me in order to delay the proceedings of that day, to say that you have a caucus meeting, I won't take it kindly. And that is not the way we should be going. The response was that if they mean caucus meeting, it doesn't mean the entire minority caucus. As if I do not know the meaning placed on the caucus in our own standing orders. I took it in a good faith, and we were proceeding. I was surprised after vetting the Minister for Transport. Based on the agreement, I asked the Minister designate for Health to take his seat. It was there that I realized that we are tired, we will not do Honorable Akando. Akando will not be vetted today in a very rowdy manner. Based on my posture, I was engaging the minority leader to the effect that you said you are comfortable for Akando to be taken today. What has changed? What really has changed? Mostly the response will be that it is not me, I am under pressure. It's not me, I am under pressure. I'm also a politician, I understand. So I was making an attempt to persuade them that in view of the fact that Honorable Akando had to bring the chiefs and opinion leaders from Juaboso, and he being the last person, there are instances where vetting of the committee will end at 10, 10:30, 11. And this is just getting to about 8 o'clock. So we could accommodate and take Honorable Akando for that day, so that the rest of the two will be shifted to the following day. And if we are not able to finish the following day, then we could consequently adjust ourselves and finish the following week. Then what I realized was that whilst that negotiation was ongoing, I heard the minority leader requesting that they should call some people into the vetting room. And in no time, they started walking to the vetting room. And that very day, minority leader was so harsh to the deputy, second deputy whip, Jerry Ahmed Shaib. I intend not to repeat the words inflicted on him that very day. So I realized that they were under some kind of instruction from their leader to do certain things. Honorable members of the committee, let me place on record that there are some instances where my ranking member will ask their side that they should all stand up and put on the microphone. And by putting on the microphone, all other microphones will be disabled. And you cannot do anything when all the microphones were on. So to some extent, I do not really understand what they want. Because, honorable members, by my level of tolerance and the way and the manner I have accommodated them, sometimes I do not expect it to be treated in a particular way.
It is not the committee that has decided to stop, but the clerk to Parliament of Ghana has requested that until he gets further instruction from the Speaker, the committee should suspend its sitting. On that note, we want to discharge you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you. And I want to inform all the media house here that we'll get back to you. We're waiting for instruction from the Speaker, who has formed this committee, and then by tomorrow, we'll let you know the next step. Thank you.
I have watched the video you have shared, and it is a true reflection of the one who took the video from the position that he stood or she stood. On that fateful Thursday, from the video you shared, we had commenced proceedings, and the proceedings were disrupted, and the members went into a conclave in the Director of Protocol's office, and they agreed on how to proceed. But before
Welcome back on the AM show. We get into our big stories, and that special committee started meeting yesterday, but guess what? Some chaos, well, not chaos, but that meeting had to be suspended because of a directive purportedly from the Speaker of Parliament. We're getting into that issue now with the chairman of that committee, Bedzrah. He joins the conversation. Mr. Bedzrah, very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Ben. And how are you?
I am very well. I hope you are too.
I am good, and good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners.
It's a great pleasure having you join the conversation. Yesterday, I listened to a good chunk of what you said, and abruptly, you had to suspend settings, which I found surprising. But tell me, based on what did this committee even start sitting? Just walk us through.
Okay, well, as you are aware, we had some disturbances during the public hearing of vetting of ministers. And during that vetting, some of our colleagues unrudely broke some tables, destroyed some chairs, destroyed some properties of the state or of Parliament. And so the Speaker, having listened to many people from outside Parliament and also watched the video, decided to suspend some members of Parliament who were directly involved in that disturbance, and also establish this committee, an ad hoc committee, because Parliament itself has not yet completed the committees that we're supposed to have. The Privileges Committee has not yet been established, other committees have not yet been established. And so, clone with the powers of the Constitution as well as the standing orders, the Speaker decided to have this special committee that will investigate and look into what happens there. And then recommend to the House whether sanctions should be applied and identify people who were directly involved. And so that was our mandate for this committee. That's what has happened. And so that was on Friday, and the Speaker gave us 10 days to complete our work. And so on Monday, we met as a committee. Some of my colleagues could not attend, so we had virtual meeting with those who could not attend. Members of the committee, as you know, are myself, the chairperson, Enimedu, Entry, Abena Asare, Zaneto Jimaroli, Vincent Opon, Bedzrah, and Giselle Agoti Tete. This 7-member committee, these are the members of the 7-member committee. So we met, and those who could not, come physically to Parliament House, join us Zoom. It was only Abena who could not join, and so we set up modalities as to how we were going to operate. And the arrangement was that we'll view all the videos because all the 7 of us were not there to witness what happened. And so we cannot be witnesses. We can only, have an information from either from a video or from, witnesses, people who were there who have watched what happened.
Right.
And so we set up to watch all the videos. And so on Monday we agreed and we publicized it. I had a press conference and requested for videos, audios, text messages, anything that anybody has, and give out the number. So in fact, that is there. As soon as I release the number, we start receiving. We received close to 100 videos, 100, messages, multimedia messages. And then we decided to look at it. So Tuesday, we invited an expert, a forensic expert, who also watched with us. And he decided which ones were dotted and which ones were authentic. he authenticated the ones that we're supposed to work on. And so we set out that Wednesday, which was yesterday, we identify witnesses and we identify culprits. So our program was to meet with the witnesses that we identify from the videos. And then today, we'll be meeting those that we have identified as directly involved in the disturbances and those who even broke, those who raised the tables and chairs, those who removed cables from the microphone and so on and so forth.
Right.
We have identified the two sets of people. So yesterday was for us to play the video for the witnesses who saw it and give their own personal account of what has happened. That was what we were doing yesterday.
Right.
And then as we were doing it, the clerk came in and asked that whether I have any further directive from the speaker. I said, no, I've not received any further directive from the speaker, except that on Tuesday, speaker, suspended his suspension on those that he has suspended and asked that the committee should continue with its work. And that when the committee finishes, the committee should present a report. So that was the only directive I've received so far from the speaker. I've not received any personal directive. Then he went and came back and he said he thinks that we should stop. I said, I am not going to stop today. I'm not going to stop tomorrow until I receive directive from the speaker. And so he kept going and coming back. Then my co-chair, a vice chair, normally when you have a committee of this nature, you need to have, so we all agree that Honorable Kwame Enyimadu should be my vice chair. So he became the vice chair. And he prompted me that he has received a text message that his leader was calling him. And I said, well, we have one of honorable members from the minority side who will be coming to testify. He's on his way. So he should wait till that honorable comes. When he finishes testifying, we interrogate him as a witness of what he has seen, then he can go and come back. We were waiting. Then a text message came again that the honorable member who was coming to witness, who was coming to give testimony, said he will not come because he has directives from their leader, minority leader, Honorable Apenyo Markins, not to come. Then my colleague, the vice chair, Honorable Enyimadu, decided that, okay, he will go and find out from his leader what was happening because already he has intimated that he should not come. But he said he will come because he believes that this is the Speaker's committee and he must not disappoint Speaker, not because he's not doing it because of partisanship, but the truth must be told. Ghanaians might know what really happened. And so he left, and then we continue. Then when the clerk to the committee started giving testimony, the clerk to Parliament, Mr. Bedzrah, came and said he is under obligation. And I said, which obligations? We have to stop going on air because he needs the camera to go to the plenary. And I said, okay, if you need Parliament's camera can go. But as for public hearing, these people from the various media houses are already here, so we'll continue. I said, no, he doesn't want that too. I said, no way. Until I receive any message from Speaker, I am not stopping. So I continue. Then it came the fourth time when the lady was in the middle, the clerk to the committee of appointment committee, was in the middle of her narration. Then he came again that he is a clerk. And he's instructed. I said, I don't take instruction from you. Call Speaker to call me, and then I'll stop. He couldn't do it. The next thing I heard was that he was instructing the clerk, the committee clerk, that's the clerk to my committee, that he's asking them to stop what they are doing. He's instructing them as a head that they should not do the work again. That was where I asked that we should suspend until I receive information from the Speaker.
Honorable Bedzrah, let me
that the Speaker gave instructions. No, Speaker did not give any instruction. The instruction came from Mr. Ahomajitro Ebenezer and not the Speaker of Parliament.
And he is the clerk to Parliament.
Sorry?
He is the clerk to Parliament.
He's the clerk to Parliament.
Right.
And so I left there with my committee members and I called the majority leader, Honorable Ayariga, and
right.
they said they were in conflict, so I should come. So I went with my members to meet with the minority leader, the two deputy speakers, the clerk himself, and my committee members to find out what really was happening. Why would they stop us abruptly in the middle of public hearing? I do not understand. And then they should tell me why this should happen. I was really furious. And they said I should calm down. They spoke to us and said when they met the speaker, before speaker came to give his direction, they suggested to speaker that we should hold on to the committee's work because they are prepared to pay for it. Then I said, no. If speaker wanted to stop, he would have said it in his statement to members and to the whole public that he did not want the committee work to continue. And so he will charge those who were involved to pay. In any case, it's not only the 4 people he suspended that were involved. There were more than 4 people. In fact, we've identified about 10 people who were directly involved. But because we have not finished the work, I cannot give out the names. So quickly, I dialed speaker. They claimed that they were calling speaker, did not get speaker. So I dialed speaker. Speaker had traveled, as of the jubilation actually heard from Parliament yesterday. And I called speaker and I put him on loudspeaker. I said, Speaker, you are on loudspeaker. I'm here with all these people, the majority leader, minority leader, the clerk, the 2 deputy speakers. And that the instruction from him was that we should stop. Speaker said he did not instruct anybody. And he gave the narration as when the minority leader met him in the office and requested that we should stop. And he said no. So there was no conclusion to this matter. Now, if I like, and he was loud on phone, if we like, we should go and look at the hazard. Then minority leader says, okay, if that's it, then we should go and look on the hazard. We should stop, look at the hazard first before we continue. That said, okay, I've suspended sitting. Now I am going to wait till the speaker returns. And so speaker said, well, we should continue. He said it that, well, we should continue. Then he handled.
So the speaker said that you should continue with the committee sittings.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so in the evening, speaker himself told me against or whatever it was, and instructed me that I should continue today. And I said, no, speaker, I'm not going to continue until the clerk give me express instruction that you have instructed him that he has asked the committee to continue its work.
But
now, 10 p.m., the clerk called me and said, Speaker has instructed him to ask me to continue the public hearing. So I am yet to meet my members of the committee today, and then we'll continue our public hearing.
Mr. Bedzrah, let me just get this clarity before.
To appear. Those who will not appear, we'll identify them. We'll play the video for the whole world to see who really the culprits were and what really MPs that were supposed to protect public property did to our institutional material.
Just a quick thought for me. Are you suggesting that you mentioned that the clerk seemed to have suggested that Afenyo Markin, the minority leader, had some interaction with him. But later, you talk about Mahama Ayariga, the majority leader, also being there. Are you suggesting that the majority leader was in the know of this when you went into that conclave meeting? Or that conclave?
When we went to the conclave meeting, I asked both of them. And Honorable Mahama Ayariga said he did not hear Speaker speaking in his statement that we should suspend or stop. He did not hear. In fact, he was emphatic that his mind was not there. And he remembered that when they were with Speaker, the 2 of them were with Speaker, to plead with the Speaker, Honorable Afenyo Markin added. But then he worked out, so he did not know what happened between, the conclusion between him and the Speaker. So that was Honorable Mahama Ayariga, majority leaders, part of the story. And so he was saying, in his concluding statement, since we are not sure of what transpired between Honorable Minority Leader and the Speaker, we should wait for the Speaker to return tomorrow. Then I said, well, if that's the case, we will all wait. When the Speaker returns, he'll give a direct instruction. Then in the night, Speaker called and said, no, we cannot stop this way, we should continue. And he has given direct instruction, express instruction to the class that we should continue.
So as we speak, are you going to continue? Because what I'm hearing is you want to wait till the speaker returns. And I understand the speaker is not even in the country. And so you were misinformed or disinformed. And if you've gotten that clarity now from the speaker, what are you waiting for?
Well, I need to meet with my committee members this morning. As we all know, we agreed to have a meeting this morning. In fact, yesterday we agreed that we'll meet at 2 o'clock. By then, I would have received some information from the speaker. So today there will not be any public hearing. We will continue tomorrow. Speaker is not in town. There is instruction from the clerk that we should continue, and so this public hearing will continue on Friday.
Are you saying that now you have that clarity from the clerk, Mr. Jijo Ebenezer, that you should continue? Because you mentioned while narrating that you were waiting for the explicit instruction from him that you should continue. Have you got that now?
Yes, he called yesterday, and he has confirmed that.
Okay, so you're meeting with your committee members today. What time?
We'll be meeting, we advertised that we should meet at 2 p.m. because by then, before we left Parliament yesterday, we've not received any information from either the clerk or the speaker. It was late in the night when the speaker called me and also gave that instruction to Honorable Mr. Ebenezer Jitro. So this message is, even my committee members are not aware. And so I'll relay to them today at the meeting, and then we'll continue the way. Because we're all scandalized. We do not believe that members of Parliament who are supposed to investigate what happened publicly will just be interrupted. I mean, rudely interrupted, in that bizarre manner yesterday was uncalled for. And I don't think it is fair to Ghanaian public.
I'm sure you have some theories, right? Because you were surprised. What do you think was the intention behind disrupting your procedure yesterday? What do you think?
Well, I cannot say for a fact what really was the intention. But you see, we are in politicking. Somebody does not want to be exposed as to what really happened. But my sister, it is not exposing anybody. We even stated it in our press conference that we are not witch-hunting anybody. Truth must be told. We are honorable members. That's why we have the title honorable members. And if you remember, the speaker said he did not call us that Friday as honorable members because what we did was uncalled for and unseemly. And so he did not call us honorable members until leaders came to apologize to him personally. That's why he restored the title honorable members. Now, that does not repudiate the fact that people were involved. Are you saying that we should just pay and then those who were directly involved should not be either named and shamed? For people to be remorseful and stop this attitude of because I'm an MP, I have all the immunity that can do anything on this planet Earth. I don't think this is right.
Right.
And so my theory actually was the fact that MPs can go to any strength, any length. My colleagues can just do anything and think that we can go away with impunity because we are honorable members. It is not right. We are Ghanaians. We have the same blood. We are only privileged to serve people. And as that privilege is taken away, we are just like any other civil person or any other Ghanaian. And so we should not think that we are higher than anybody. We are not above the law. And I have instructed the class to inform the police to investigate criminal activity. And I'm happy the police to do that well. So what again is to just take people who are involved, and then the rest will be taken care of by
Mr. Bedzrah, just move a little. We're losing you slightly. Let's try this. Just clarify for me, because in one breath I hear you saying you're going to wait for the speaker. In another breath, I hear you saying there's been a specific directive from the speaker to the clerk, and so you're going to continue. Is it the public sitting you're continuing today, post your meeting with the committee, or what exactly is happening? Just briefly on that.
So, what we agreed, what I've just stated was that I'll be meeting with my committee members. The speaker has instructed that we should continue with our work. And so what we agreed with as committee was that we'll have a public hearing. That was yesterday for Ghanaians to watch the video, because not everybody who watched the video, to identify people who were there with us. And those people who were there are just witnesses, so we watch that video with them. Then today, we're supposed to bring in those people who we identify as culprits or those who were directly involved. The meeting was supposed to be yesterday. We ran 20 people. We did only have 10. So we have more. And so to continue with our public hearing, if my colleagues agree that we continue, I'm the chair, but I have to, it's a democratic institution. My other colleagues must also agree that we continue the public hearing either today or tomorrow. Now, it also depends on getting the witnesses, because the witnesses were to come yesterday. From them. That is what I'm saying, that we may not have it today, but we might have it tomorrow if the witnesses agree to come. And if they come, we'll finish the public hearing, which has largely to do with the witnesses for people to appreciate how related.
Okay.
We will also reform in-camera hearing.
Did you say in-camera hearing?
In-camera, that's what we agree as a committee.
Okay, so are you saying that moving forward, the public hearings are going to be commuted for in-camera hearings? Because some people have also asked, must this be done publicly?
Yes, so that's why I said, when I was outlining our plan and the program, I stated that we will have public hearing for witnesses. If you have my press conference statement, I said we will have public hearing for witnesses. Then we will move to in-camera hearing, because there are certain scenes that we think that we need to interrogate whoever is involved, and that will take a longer period.
So the in-camera hearings, are they specifically for only MPs?
We are yet to decide. My colleagues and I will decide, and then we'll let you know.
Now, you also made mention of the fact that you felt that the reaction of the clerk, it was as though somebody didn't want to be exposed. Who is somebody?
Well, we'll leave it like that for now. We'll get to know.
I see.
Does this affect your timelines, though? I'm just curious to know. Because you were given some timelines by the Speaker to produce a report.
We're given 10 days.
Yes.
We're supposed to conclude this by Sunday. But from look of things now, we have to request Speaker to give us 2 or 3 more days to conclude.
Okay.
There was also this unsavory bit about one of the members of your committee, Senator Rawlings, and a comment that was passed as well. What's the latest on that?
I didn't hear that. Comment about what?
Senator Rawlings and someone's father being something previously. I don't know what your reaction is.
It wasn't at a committee level.
Pardon me?
It wasn't at a committee.
No, I'm saying that has also happened. Is that something that the committee is also looking into?
No, I'm not aware. In fact, I've not even heard a comment myself. I only hear people saying that somebody has made a comment. I've not seen it, I've not heard it. If I've heard it, I'd ask that the person should be brought to book, or the Speaker should take notice of that person. I've not heard it at all.
I bring it up because it was suggested that a member of parliament had done it, though it has been proven that he did not do it. So I just wanted to find out whether that was an area you would wade into.
My colleague from the minority has circulated videos about me. The honorable majority leader, minority leader, even sent that video to me that I said I was going to slap MPs when they were about to take my seat. I mean, so this is, we do it to each other. But you see, this is a serious committee. We should not be joking with comments that I made in December when I said, when you come and take my seat, I will slap you, I will do this, don't come and take my seat, That has nothing to do with what we are doing. And so they will say all kinds of things just to, as usual, to make you angry and not do your work. But that will not deter us at all. We'll do what we are supposed to do.
Okay. Well, so I guess now your work continues, and only time will tell between today and tomorrow what exactly will be done.
Exactly.
We wish you the very best.
I will make a we'll have a press conference today after our meeting.
All right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Bedzrah, for joining the conversation. He, of course, is chairman of that committee set up by the Speaker to investigate some of these happenings on January the 30th. Let's bring in our other guests.
Yes, let's speak to Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. He's a fellow of the Center for Democratic Development. And we also have Sameh Obeng. He's executive director of Parliamentary Network Africa. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning to you as well.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Great. Doc, I want to start with you. I know that for people in your area of expertise, watchers, observers of the democracy, these conversations are interesting. You know, when we are all locked in on a topic and how to rule or what the excesses of power really are. But at this point, I have to ask, are we really taking this seriously? If you look at the narration from Mr. Bedzrah about how someone said the speaker had asked them to stop, meanwhile, the speaker hadn't actually said anything. And this is a very important committee that was set up to investigate that chaos at the vetting, the appointment committee. Are we taking this seriously? What do you make of it?
It came off as odd for that conflicting information, right? Where the speaker says, no, continue your work, but the clerk is saying, I've been directed, or I'm here to inform you to discontinue your work. As you rightly mentioned, it takes away, for me, the seriousness of the matter at hand and the committee's work to try and get to the bottom of it. It also comes across as though, is it that they don't want answers, they don't want to probe this issue anymore and try and figure out how best do we ensure that this doesn't happen anymore. Now, as he said, the committee would resume its work tomorrow and continue its hearings and continue to investigate this matter. I think it's very important that ultimately something is done about this. And if that means this public hearing and all of these investigations to issue some kind of a report, you also hope that when the committee's work is done, it would not become one of those routine things where a committee does work, issues a report, and end of story. That whatever the committee finds and recommends, that action would be taken to ensure that it serves as a deterrent to anyone who would want to repeat this unfortunate behavior in the future.
Okay, let me go to Samuel Obeng briefly before Ben comes in. And Mr. Obeng, how did the news of that suspension of the public hearing come to you? And listening to the narration from Mr. Bedzrah as well, what is your initial reaction to what we are seeing right now?
We need to commend the Honorable Member for Ho Western, Chairman of the committee, Mr. Bedzrah, for coming out and since last night speaking specifically to the issues and what has happened. For me, it assures me of a committee and its leadership who are really invested in this exercise and are willing to go the full haul on it. I am not surprised at all when some of these things happen in Parliament and people try to play the chess. I mean, it's a house of cards, people would exhibit their cards and showcase their cards and hide their cards and all of that. So these things, for those of us who are direct parliamentary watchers, do happen. However, when we know that even in the midst of all of those cards, there is commitment to still get the work done, it's for me the bigger assurance. And I must say that, just like the 16 civil society organizations that issued the statement in support of the very actions that the speaker had outlined, we had indicated that we will be observing these things every step of the way. And usually when you see these things happen in Parliament, when people are trying to play all manner of antics to thwart some effort, it is only intended to serve as a way to muddy the waters and not allow the process to go on. And then if we become forgetful as a people of Ghana, the whole issue dies off. But I want to assure Parliament and members of Parliament that we will not forget this. We will be on it. On the 10th day, we will remind Parliament that is day 10. On the 11th day, we'll remind them it's day 11. And if it takes 300 days, we'll keep reminding them and taking the necessary actions to ensure that every single member of Parliament who was culpable in those acts are brought to book according to the rules, the codes, and the ethics that are expected of members of Parliament. Because one too many of such instances have happened in the past, have gone unaddressed, and because of that, it has emboldened new members of Parliament to get involved in this process. And if we don't deal with it once and for all, it will become an institution that loses its reputation. And none of us wants that for the Parliament of Ghana.
Right, Ben.
Now, on the back of what has been said, how surprising is it for you, this back and forth in respect of the Speaker says this, now the clerk says that, and purportedly the minority leader in there, and then the Hansard and everything? That in itself points to, pardon me, some systemic challenges within Parliament. What is your reading?
Then I don't think it's systemic challenges at all. I think, you know, I've worked in this system for a while. I think it is simply an issue of, you know, I mean, there could be a lot of dishonesty within those enclaves, and
you're talking of people, honorable members of Parliament, I mean, and you are using dishonesty for them.
There could be a lot of dishonesty in that enclave. Sometimes, you know, and that's one of the things that worries me a lot. You know, sometimes when people are talking and they are spewing bare-faced lies, they are minded to even sometimes say, oh, but we are doing politics, as though politics is about telling lies and about, you know, I mean, we are doing politics. Sometimes it worries me a lot when people equate politics to, you know, so these things are not very, and anybody who is invested in the processes in Parliament knows that, you know, you don't take one parliamentarian or one side's word for it until you've heard both sides, until you've heard the other side, and until you've heard the neutrals and all of that, and piece things together. So it's not surprising at all to how these things happen. However, the good thing is that the essence of an open Parliament, where all of us are watching Parliament live, is that you and I need not wait for Hansard to hear what exactly Mr. Speaker said on that day and the instructions he gave. I mean, I was not in town on the day Mr. Speaker lifted the ban. But last night, I watched the parliamentary proceedings on Parliament's official Facebook page, and I heard specifically what Mr. Speaker said. I could do my own transcript of it. He was very clear in his mind that, yes, the 4 members who had been suspended, the suspension had been lifted. However, every other process, including the committee's work, including making sure that members of Parliament who are culpable pay for whatever damages have been made, including Mr. Clark reporting the situation to the police investigating, and all of those other processes are intact. And so for us, we'll be monitoring every one of those to make sure that, you know, every step of the way they are able to comply with those things. Of course, the Speaker's prerogative to suspend the 4 and then also recall that suspension. But of course, that does not take away the fact that a committee, an ad hoc committee of Parliament, has the power to be able to go into this matter in the absence of a Privileges and Immunities Committee of Parliament, and to make recommendations for the entire plenary to take a decision on it. So I am not surprised, of course, that who is saying what, majority saying what, minority saying what, clerk saying what. I'm happy, and that's why I commended Mr. Bedzrah for coming out to give the narration, even including what were said privately. In the end, we all heard what Mr. Speaker said. In the end, the videos are out there. In the end, we expect that the committee will finish its work in 10 days, unless perhaps the one who gave the instructions come to say, I have given some level of extension. Nothing beyond that will be acceptable by the people of Ghana, and Parliament must know that.
Dr. Osai-Kwapong, just briefly in there. We heard Bernard Ahiafo, the chairman of the vetting committee or the appointments committee, actually suggest yesterday that there was some dishonesty, because then he spoke about what had been discussed with the minority, and then later what would turn out when they were on the floor of vetting. Then you have first-timers who were also in there perpetrating certain acts for which now they are before this other committee. On the back of what I just brought to bear with Sami Obeng, do you still feel things should proceed? It is important for things to proceed so that we unearth everything that happened, though people are not going to be punished. Do you also subscribe to it?
I mean, yes, it should proceed, but I also hope that it would not be a hearing simply for the sake of a hearing. I mean, if there would be no punishment at the end of the day, or if no persons involved in this chaos will be held accountable, whatever that accountability would look like, then with all due respect, I ask myself, what would then be the purpose of this?
Probably they would apologize to Ghanaians whom they have caused this ignominy with foreign outlets picking all these stories. Ghanaians feel the shame of their actions.
But you don't need a hearing for that to happen, right? I think someone has even, was it the majority leader at the end of the chaos that day, who talked about, this is unacceptable.
Yeah,
Parliament must do better, etc., etc. So for me, if really at the end of the day, an apology, though important, is all that is going to come from days of hearing and investigating this matter, then for me, I don't think that is quote unquote worth the time, right? This must be, the end of this must be more than just, we are sorry, Ghanaians. There has to be some real, accountability and some real punishment for the perpetrators of this chaos. Now, as to whether the institution of Parliament will be able to do that to its own members, only time will tell, right? Because even for the initial suspensions, those have been withdrawn. And so you say to yourself, would any other punishment, hold up? And time will tell.
Doc.
Ben, if I may, just and maybe from where Doc left off, let me just add that technically, these individuals or this committee's work is an ad hoc committee in the stead of the Parliamentary Committee on Privileges and Immunities, right? Because that committee has not been set up yet by Parliament. And so Parliament has, in the absence of a specific committee, set up an ad hoc committee to do a specific responsibility. And there are clear indications on what kinds of sanctions, beyond just an apology. And that's why, like we said, we need to be monitoring even the quality of the work and the outcomes and the recommendations that the committee makes to plenary, to interrogate these matters and to hold the feet of our elected representatives to the fire to know that it cannot be business as usual, that, okay, it happens because we have come to apologize, then, we leave it at that. Then, of course, taxpayers' money is being used to pay for the destructions that have been caused and what have you. It is important to note that this committee's work, in my opinion, and by my reading of the standing orders, is elevated to the level of making recommendations that could trigger the sanctions that are within the standing orders of Parliament around breach of parliamentary privileges by members of Parliament themselves.
Doc, and maybe both of you can get a bite at this question. You both said that the cardinal value of this committee's work goes beyond giving Ghanaians an apology. But do you think that it sort of reflects or reveals broader tensions between majority and minority in Parliament? Mr. Bedzrah said that he now realizes that his people, his colleagues, would do anything to avoid scrutiny or shame. And would this be a different case if it was just in-camera hearing without a public hearing like we're seeing? Would it have made any difference, Doc? Let me start with you, Dr. Osai-Kwapong.
So, let me quickly go back to the 8th Parliament. When I used to observe a lot of the acrimony and adversarial politics in the 8th Parliament, I attributed that to the numbers, right? So it's a closely divided Parliament, and therefore it made consensus building extremely difficult, and therefore the members of Parliament then would resort to this sort of adversarial, very hostile type of politics on key matters that came before the House. But then I look at the early days of the 9th Parliament, and you're seeing again that same atmosphere again, and so you ask yourself, what is it, or where have we gotten to as an institution in Parliament where where the business, parliamentary politics, interaction between the MPs is becoming this hostile? And part of the reason I'm thinking is maybe we are becoming more and more deeply partisan and deeply polarized. But even beyond that, there has to be something else that is explaining the kind of chaos or even some of these early tensions that we're seeing in the very early days of the 9th Parliament. So would it make a difference if it's a public hearing or if it's closed doors? For what happened, I appreciate the fact that it is a public hearing. The Ghanaian public needs to see and observe some of these things. And Parliament needs to become more conscious of the fact that their standing in the eyes of Ghanaians, as reflected in the Afrobarometer survey, is not the best. And some of these things, hopefully, would force them to begin to rethink the way they treat each other or the way they go about parliamentary politics. Because there's a certain, there's work to be done to redeem some of the low perceptions that the Ghanaian public is having about Parliament as an institution and members of Parliament.
Right. Mr. Obeng, same question. I mean, does the issues, in fact, let me extend and say all the issues that have come up throughout the vetting process, do they reflect deepened polarization in our Parliament? And would this have made any difference if it was not a public hearing, if it was in-camera hearing?
Everyone knows the stance of Parliamentary Network Africa, myself, on opening up parliamentary sittings and committee sittings to the public. I mean, Parliament is the house of the people. Parliamentary information belongs to the people. And global best practice says that parliamentary sittings, to the extent possible, must be open to the public. And so we are stickless to opening up parliamentary proceedings to the public. And there are parliamentary proceedings that are open to the public the world over. And we know what kind of outcomes there are. Of course, there are challenges with opening parliamentary proceedings to the public in a country where people like to play to the gallery, and when they see the cameras, they like to appeal to their base. And so that balance must always be sought. Now, and so, I mean, it must be public. And of course, the committees always have the opportunity to have in-camera sessions when they think that circumstances requires that. And so that is why I will not fault Honorable Bedzrah and his committee in saying that there are some of the testimonies that they would want to take in camera. This is also allowable, and they are at liberty to do so. But when it comes to the polarization, you see, I agree 100% with these comments that have been made by Doc, on what may be accounting for this, except to add an additional layer. That's because in the 8th Parliament, everybody that was involved in all of this uncouth behavior went unpunished. It emboldened people. And so the 9th Parliament provides for us an opportunity to let people know that, look, this is not going to be business as usual. Because, you see, I watched the proceedings of that night, and I saw first-time MPs who are less than 1 month in the House, because they had seen what had happened before they joined Parliament, thought that this is okay. These were first-time MPs who are not members of the committee, but decided that they were going to storm a committee room of another committee, not as friends of the committee, which is allowed. If you're a member of Parliament, you can join any committee as a friend of the committee. But this time around, as enemies of the committee to cause destruction, in my opinion. And this is because they saw their seniors do it on the night in which Speaker Babin was elected. They saw their seniors do it during the e-levy period. They saw their seniors do it during the whether a deputy speaker can chair and vote, all of those chaos, and all of those went unpunished. So far as they are concerned, it's a culture that even elevates you in Parliament. So as a first timer, why not do it so that I will be noticed? If they see that, oh wow, 3 of our leaders have been suspended by virtue of this, those in leadership even can get suspended, even if it's for a day or 2. Then they know that there are whips that can be cracked, and they will be guided.
Okay. Now, to another matter, also in Parliament, we saw that the Member of Parliament for Akim North, Asante Akim North, Ohene Frimpong, decided to speak in his local dialect, the Akan language, and the implications of that, the time spent, not wasted, to interpret everything he said in Twi in English for the benefit of those who don't understand Twi. What do you make of this? Should we be encouraging using local languages in Parliament? Dr. John Osai-Kwapong.
Yes, we should. He's representing his people. He's communicating, in a way that others can understand. Yes, you're right. There's then the element of translating it for the purposes of the parliamentary record, and all of that. But if there are opportunities to use, the local language in the conduct of parliamentary business, I welcome that. I mean, I know that most of the time, English is always the medium of communication. Yeah. So this was different, and let's see how many try to do it and what it does to the conduct of parliamentary business.
Well, let's also contemplate before you take your leave. Or, Sweetie, were you going to pose that same question to
Samuel Bing?
Well, Samuel Bing, your reaction on that before we move on.
Yes, let me just state that this is actually allowable by the orders of Parliament. It's been done in the past, albeit in different forms. And just yesterday when this happened, not only the Honorable Independent MP for Asante Akim North, he wasn't the only person. The Honorable Member for Pandai, Mr. Martin Yendam, also spoke in his local dialect.
Right.
On the floor. Now, this is refreshing. The Standing Orders of Parliament says that Parliament will put in place measures to ensure that there is interpretation, simultaneous interpretation for some of these things. Unfortunately, and of course, we know for a country that has so many languages, it can be very difficult to do that. And Parliament does not even have interpretation arrangements yet. And so they've adopted that regular practice that if we've had instances where people will say a proverb in their local language, you are asked to interpret that. And for me, if my member of Parliament can speak on the floor of Parliament in a language that I can understand, so that when it is being played by my local community radio stations during their news bulletin, it wouldn't be English, which gets translated to me, but I'm hearing my MP, the sound bites from Parliament directly speaking to me. It doesn't matter about time. There are many, many time wasters in Parliament or time wasting endeavors in Parliament, which goes unnoticed.
Right.
And I don't think that a member of Parliament speaking directly to the people that have sent him or her to represent them is one of those at all.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, Ben.
Well, so just to proceed from there, we want to quickly take a swipe at the new deputy ministerial nominations that have come through from Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Deputy Justice Shremsai. Interestingly, Justice is part of his name. And then you look at the likes of Dr. Clementa Park for Education as a deputy. You look at the likes of John Dumelo as a deputy for Agric. You look at the likes of Yusuf Suleimana as a deputy for Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. And it goes on and on. Samson Ayi in there as well. Quick reflections on these nominations. A lot of young blood also in there. I'll start with you, Samuel Bing.
Well, anytime the list of ministerial nominees come through from when Mr. President announced the first three, I think, it's very refreshing to see the individuals involved. Most of them, people that you can trust that they can be able to do the work and all of that. But, well, we had those same kind of refreshing thoughts and moments in 2017 when His Excellency the President then, not only announced this list, but also touted the prowess of the individuals, spoke to us about their qualifications, about who they are and all of that. And we saw the outcome. And so for me, the name's great, the people awesome. But I think the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating, and we want to see how they perform in their roles. Two observations, general observations, though, is that I am worried that, just like colleague organizations that are within the affirmative action conversation, that we are still not, nowhere close to the threshold women representation in, we only have about 4 more deputy ministers to be nominated, so the president hits 60. And the percentages are not looking good. We know the challenges of appointing ministers, the regional balance issue, appointing from parliament and all of that. And with the parliament that has less than 15% being women, all of these dynamics can be quite challenging. But we wish that it would have been more women in this regard. The second thing, which for me as Executive Director for Parliamentary Network Africa, an organization that watches Parliament closely, is that we still have a good number of people in Parliament who people would have wondered, but this person could be minister, could be deputy minister. You know, why are they not in the list? The good thing about that is that it leaves room for many of these great people also to take up parliamentary committee leadership roles, which is extremely important. In the last parliament, many of the best and brightest were taken out of parliament to be ministers. And so you saw committees being chaired by individuals who ordinarily would not have been committee chairpersons or committee vice chairpersons. But this is going to be different because we are seeing some people who, you know, former ministers would have ordinarily been expected to become ministers, deputy ministers, now left with parliament to do legislative work. And that would mean that they will become, you know, chairpersons of committees. Remember also that the standing orders allows for some committees to be chaired by the minority. So we have some former ministers and co also becoming chairpersons of committees. This is so important for the parliamentary oversight work, and I'm excited about it. And that's why I would always encourage the constituencies who do not have their members of parliament being ministers, and because of that are taken to vandalism and co, to recognize that there are even bigger work in parliament as chairpersons of committees, vice chairpersons of committees, that their members of parliament could do, and it would all lead to the ultimate growth and benefits of our motherland, Ghana.
Thank you so much, Samuel Beng, Executive Director, Parliamentary Network Africa, for helping us put in perspective everything happening in our parliament. But Dr. John Osai Kwapong, please stay. We get to the second belt of our conversation.
Actually, I'm putting that same question to Dr. Kwapong before. So thank you, Samuel Beng. Dr. Kwapong, your reaction to that?
You know, 2 things about these appointments, especially with some of the younger generation that you're seeing. My observation is that there's a long-term strategy behind that. I feel like the NDC as a party is preparing, you know, the next generation of leadership for the party. Just as Mr. Samuel Beng also said, I mean, and credit to the president. I mean, he's been very intentional about ensuring that, you know, his appointments also reflect as best as possible some gender balance beyond also the regional balance. For this list, though, I didn't see a lot of that gender balance in here. But when all of the appointments are done, including not just ministerial positions or deputy ministerial positions, but, you know, the CEOs of parastatals and other public, you know, other state-owned enterprises, etc., hopefully he will be able to achieve the goal of that 30% promise during the campaign. Because the affirmative action bill actually even wants more than just 30%. But I believe that when all is said and done, he'll be able to achieve that. I just didn't see that reflected in this new list that came up.
All right.